This is my 1.6 HDI Peugeot Partner 2007 engine. I once got asked a question, how do you adjust the wastegate arm length on these 1.6 HDI turbos, the non-VNT turbos? So the turbo is down there, and how do you adjust that particular arm, the wastegate arm? You don't need to do that, but if you ever want to do that, see in the video how you can adjust the wastegate arm. So this is my spare turbo, it's exactly the same as the 1.6 HDI engine, and the adjustment is that particular arm, the size of that arm, how far this extends, because I'll tell you how you can undo all this, but just to show you that this could be different sizes. So if I extend that, if I rotate that will shift there, so when you put it, that's longer, and of course you can make it shorter. But the question is how long this should be. And it's a very simple adjustment. You don't really need to do that. This should be adjusted as from the factory, so you don't need to do it, but in case you need to do it, there is a small nut here that you need to undo. And you unscrew it. There will be a circlip here, so if you see, this is slightly cut down here, so there will be a circlip. Mine is missing, but with a screwdriver you can undo it and take it out, this circlip, and then you simply pull it out from that side, from the valve here, and it should come off. This probably would have been stuck quite a bit, so it won't be as free to rotate as on mine, and you might need to spray it with some lubricant in order to undo it. So what you need to do is lift this slightly, push this as far as it can go. You need to be able to see half of the bolt of that particular piece, this particular bolt, when you push it inside. You may need to relax these bolts a little bit, otherwise, because what's happening is that this is slightly bulging down here. When you push it, it kind of gets stopped there, so you need to relax these bolts only slightly of the turbo, of the wastegate, not the turbo, of the wastegate of the wastegate, so you can push that arm a bit more. Let me see, there we go, there is a gap there. There is a gap, so you can push it, and you need to see half of the bolt. Simple as that. So you rotate it a little bit more inside, that's not enough. One turn at a time. Well, that needs quite a bit more. That's too much. Take it out. Can I see half the bolt? Not yet. One turn more. And that's, I can see half of the bolt. Maybe one more half a turn. And I'm seeing half of the bolt underneath there, and that's enough adjustment. So when I put it in, that's it. So you need to be able to see half of the bolt. Make sure that it doesn't touch anything at the back, so it doesn't stop, and you simply need to see half of the bolt, like a half a moon. Maybe I need to turn it one turn inside, and that's half of the bolt, like a moon on that side. Then you turn this inside, that's stopping it from coming out. Tighten it, then tighten these two bolts, and that's it. Your arm has been adjusted. You can double check that you can see half of the bolt with pulling it out. And that's that. You put the circlip underneath here, underneath this, kind of the bolt is slightly cut. I mean, down here it's not a bolt, but it's a pin slightly cut, so there is a circlip that comes in there, and that's the adjustment. That's the length, that's the perfect length of the arm adjusted. So you can see, I mean, that has been used for some time, and that's where, when it starts, it does the travel, and you can see it how it's actually exactly up to the shiny part of the wastegate arm. So the wastegate arm is adjusted, And I'll give you explanation why this is the case and why this adjustment is done like that. So how does it work in principle? So the exhaust gases from the engine come from that side, they go around here, and the least resistance is through that valve. They straight away, if that is open, they come straight away here, go to the exhaust. This is the exhaust side, it just comes out of the exhaust. If you close that one, that valve, if you close that valve, there is a turbine there that the exhaust gases go through it, and this simply, there is a shaft there, the turbo shaft, that there is a propeller there. It rotates, spins, sucks the air, and it pushes it through here and goes to the engine, to the intercooler, compression and so on. So this simply, the exhaust gases just spin that propeller blade down there. Otherwise, if you close the wastegate valve down here, it simply doesn't, it rotates when you close the valve. If it's not closed, the air just escapes through there and doesn't rotate this propeller blade, which in turn doesn't rotate it that fast, the propeller blade here, so it doesn't compress air. And this is the simple principle of that. So this is a non-VNT turbo. It's a straightforward 92 brake horsepower turbo. Is the same as the 75 brake horsepower 1.6 HDI. So when the engine starts, it starts like that, and then this is the exhaust side, and this is the propeller side of the turbo. So the exhaust side, there is the valve there that bypasses the air, so now it's slightly open. When I push on that arm, so pushing the arm that direction, it closes the valve, and that's the travel. It closes the valve, the turbo spins, pushes the air in the engine, and when you open it, release it slightly, so push it that direction, it lets go, and the air comes out of the exhaust side, doesn't go through the engine, doesn't compress the air in the engine. So that is the actual travel, that's how much it needs to be open. It's only slightly, it's like a 1 or 2 millimeters. So if I open this out, so it doesn't really get opened like that much, like huge amount. Let me push it. It doesn't really travel huge, like open like that completely. It just, I've tightened these two bolts, so that's why it's a bit difficult to put that one. So it's very little amount of travel to close and to open. If you can say it is very little. So that's why you push that arm fully closed, so it's completely closed, you cannot push it anymore. And then you have to see half of the boat. So when you release it on a startup, there is a slightly preload, it is slightly open, currently it's slightly opened. I mean, I can push it from here if you want. And then the engine starts, puts vacuum on the wastegate, this pulls it out slightly, and then the ECU controls how much this travels, but it doesn't travel really that much, it travels very little. And that's the travel that you need. If it's huge opening, that you have a lot of loss of pressure in the engine, and this doesn't really go that much. I mean, you don't get that much huge amount of vacuum, so this get pulled. The travel there is not really that big. I mean, it can go a little bit more, but the wastegate cannot pull. I mean, it can travel further in, but it can't produce that much vacuum in order to pull that one that much in. So that's why the travel there is not that big. And that's it. This is how you adjust the wastegate arm, size of the wastegate arm, on the non-VNT turbos in the 1.6 HDI engine, as the same as the 1.6 TDCi engines and in others, in Suzuki's, Mazda's, Volvo's and so on. That's it. You don't need to do it because this would be already done, but if you ever need to do it, this is how you do it. Hope you find it useful. Let me know for any questions in the comments of the video. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Hope you find it useful.